guys, so at the beginning of the year I set myself some reading goals for the year, and given that it is well past halfway into the year, I thought it might be fun to check in on those reading goals. I remember that I made myself a little bingo chart, and I'll insert a picture of the bingo chart here so you can see what was on it, but I'll also read out the challenges that were on it for you and then check which ones I have and haven't done. Read a book by Margaret Atwood. Read a young adult book. Read a book by John Wyndham. Read a children's book. Read a book by Stephen King. Read a play by Aristophanes. Read a book from the Canongate myth series. Read a book by Emma Donoghue. Read a book I owned pre-booktube. Read a sequel. Read a book starring a dragon. Read a collection of short stories. Read a play by Sophocles. Read a piece of modern translated fiction. Read a book for research. Read a book by H.G. Wells. Read a book by Haruki Murakami. Read a non-fiction book. Read a book by Jane Austen. Read a classic. Read a book over 500 pages. Read a book by Shirley Jackson. Read a piece of medieval literature. Read a book by Ovid. And finally, read a book sent to me for review. I know I've done some of these, and I know I've definitely not done some others. In particular, the ones concerning specific authors are the ones I have ticked off the least of, so that's maybe something I need to now think about going into the rest of the year. But let's see how I have done. Okay, so number one, read a book by Margaret Atwood. I have not done. I love Margaret Atwood and everything I've read so far, but she has quite the backlog of books which I haven't read yet and really want to read just to be more familiar with her books and because I know that I usually really enjoy them, so that is something I need to do. So the next challenge was to read a young adult book, and I've actually read 2 young adult books and I'm in the middle of another young adult book at the moment. So I read Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill and I read Vivian versus the Apocalypse by Katie Coyle, both of which I've reviewed and both of which I thoroughly enjoyed, so it's been a good year for YA so far, and I'm currently reading Black Cairn Point and enjoying that. Next is read a book by John Wyndham, and like I said, I'm not doing so well on the specific author categories and I haven't read another John Wyndham book this year, but again, hopefully. Next is read a children's book. Now, I did reread the Harry Potter books this year, but I'm not counting them for any of these challenges because they are rereads and I kind of wanted all of the books on my bingo chart to be new books. So I haven't read any children's books so far this year, but you might have seen from my last book haul that I got sent some really exciting children's books from Puffin, and I'm definitely going to be reading some of those before the year's out, so not to worry. Next is read a book by Stephen King. Haven't done that either. But I'm happy to say that the next one, read a play by Aristophanes, I have done. In fact, I read 2 plays by Aristophanes this year, Lysistrata and Assembly Women. Lysistrata is the best Greek play I have read to date. Absolutely adored it and did really enjoy Assembly Women as well. They're both comedies set in ancient Athens and revolve around women. Read a book from the Canongate myth series. I did do this one as well, which I'm pleased to say, and I read Ali Smith's Girl Meets Boy, another book I've done a review of, funnily enough, and adored this book. It was such a short, sweet read. I can't believe it took me so long to get around to reading it. I flew through it, really enjoyed myself. It's inspired by the Greek myth of Iphis, and if you want to know more about it, then just check out my review. Read a book by Emma Donoghue. This I have not done. This is another author whose work I've just really enjoyed what I've read so far and want to read more of their kind of backlog, but I recently picked up another one of her books, so hopefully I will get to that soon. Next is read a book I owned pre-booktube. So I've been on booktube for about 3 years now, coming up 4, and I think I have. I'm pretty sure I owned Girl Meets Boy before I started filming on booktube and getting recommendations from booktube, so I think that counts, although it would mean doubling up. So I would like to read another book that falls into that category because I know I have a few books that have been on my bookshelf since before I started booktubing. Next is read a sequel, and I've definitely done that. I read the last book in the Rainworld Chronicles by Robin Hobb, which is a high fantasy series about dragons. Also read the second in Tom Holt's J.W.W. Wells series, which starts with The Portable Door and then is followed by In Your Dreams. This is another fantasy series, although this one's more on the comical magic realism side, and it's set in the real world but just with tons of magic going on, and it's so funny and so much fun. I've reviewed the first one, so I'll link that down below. Next is read a book starring a dragon. And again, I've definitely done this one. Not only did I read the 4th book in the Rainworld Chronicles, which would be doubling up, but I also read Tooth and Claw by Joe Walton, which was a 5 out of 5 star dragon book. It is like a Jane Austen novel, but with dragons, and again I've reviewed that, so I'll link that down below. This is read a collection of short stories. I haven't actually done this yet. I kind of forgot that that was one of my goals for this year. I'm actually halfway through a collection of short stories that I've been dipping in and out of, which is At the Mouth of the River of the Bees. I think that's what it's called. I downloaded it on my Kindle after hearing Mercedes from Mercedes Bookish Musings talk about it, and she really enjoyed it. So I have been enjoying that, but I haven't finished it yet. But read a play by Sophocles I have not done. I have actually read a few Euripides plays and a few Aeschylus plays, which are both also Greek tragedians, but not Sophocles. Well done me. Next is read a piece of modern translated fiction, and when I put this down I kind of had in my head modern relative to antiquity. I didn't want to include books translated from ancient or medieval Latin or ancient Greek. So I have actually read 3 French translated works this year. None of them were published in the 21st century. One is from the 1800s, and that is Thérèse Raquin by Émile Zola. The other 2 are from the 1900s, and that is Bonjour Tristesse by François Sagan, and one of the books in the Inspector Maigret series by George Simenon. I feel like the 1900s is modern enough. This is read a book for research, and I've definitely done this. I read plays including Euripides' Ion and Aristophanes' Lysistrata with the specific intention in my head that they might come up in my research. I also read The Honour Code by Kwame Anthony Appiah, which is a non-fiction book which, although not about antiquity, is about the concept of honour, and that is something that plays into my research. I also read Euripides' Hippolytus. Lots of plays this year for research. And of course I've read tons of articles and chapters and books, but those are the things I've read from cover to cover, so I'm not worried about ticking off that box. Read a book by H.G. Wells. No, haven't done. Like I said, bad with the author ones. Same goes for read a book by Haruki Murakami. I also haven't done that yet. Read a non-fiction book. I have indeed. I have read both The Honour Code by Kwame Anthony Appiah, but also The Philosophy of Vegetarianism by Daniel Dombrowski. Read a book by Jane Austen. I have completed this author goal. I read Northanger Abbey this year. Absolutely adored it. So glad that I finally got around to picking that one up. So A+ on that. Next I have read a classic, and for this I was thinking not ancient books, but books published before the sort of 1900s, and I have read, like I said, Thérèse Raquin by Émile Zola and Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, so I feel like I have ticked that one off, but we'll probably read more classics as the year progresses. Next is read a book over 500 pages. Now the only book I've read that would technically come into that category are some of the Harry Potter books. However, first of all I said I didn't really want to count them, and second of all I actually listened to all of them on audiobooks. I didn't really read over 500 pages, so I'm yet to complete that goal. Next, read a book by Shirley Jackson. Again, have not done. Read a book of medieval literature. Again, have not done, but there's 2 in particular that are really high up on my TBR list, so hopefully I will get to them before the year is out. Then is read a book by Ovid, which unfortunately no, I haven't done. I haven't read a new Ovid book from cover to cover this year. But to finish off on a positive note, I have read a book sent to me for review. So those are all of my goals. I don't think I'm doing too badly, better than I actually thought I might be doing, so I'm glad to say that I've definitely ticked off some of my bingo chart, but hopefully I can tick off most of the rest of them before the year is out. Until next time guys, happy reading. I'll see you all again soon. Bye!